Peace family. So I'm back with another one. Today what I wanted to do is I wanted to talk to my chosen ones about don't wish life was easier. Work to gain more skills. Don't wish life was easier. Work to gain more skills. So what brings me to this subject today was I was just kind of tapped into some other content earlier today, just listening, vibing as I take this hour drive to drop my mini off because I'm out of my last location, but because of the way the market is set up, my town prices have went this high, so now I'm on the outskirts a little bit. But just listening to my video on the way into town just kind of made me think of, like, before I got to this space where I'm at now, I didn't really say I wish life was easier because I don't like to wish. I just like to project and send the energy where it needs to go. You know, it's a lot more accurate that way than wishing. But it also made me realize, right, that even when I was little and I think about how I had to process things and how life was for me young, because I had a materialistic household, we didn't have to go without material items, but without the emotional support and the substance within, that's where we was lacking and neglected at. You know what I'm saying? So just because of my belief system and thought process, everything has always been on the hardest level for me. But what made me also realize, outside of just, you know, rehearing certain videos just for confirmation or just to do it, because for me, I like to listen to videos and other people speak the way I used to listen to music. Some days I would get up and I would turn my music on. Now the days I get up, I turn my videos on. When I'm taking my drives, I got my videos on. So not me per se, you know, I'm not listening to me, but it's other beings that I like and I enjoy listening to. And when I was hearing that statement about don't wish life was easier, you know, gain more skill, it made me realize that I'm in the position I'm in because I chose to gain more skill. Nobody forced me to make beats. Nobody forced me to do videography. Nobody forced me to do photography. Nobody forced me to put a web series together. Nobody forced me to do the Godcast with co-hosts and guests. And nobody forced me to stand up here and talk to you guys and put this knowledge out here and my experiences out here. And nobody asked me or forced me to put my website together. And a lot of these things that I'm just listing off, which is just a couple that I learned from 2015 to 2022. 7 years, I just listed a handful of things, and there's more things that I could list that I learned and I started doing and ascending in the past 7 years. But when I had to get to my website, I think that was the biggest one that clicked for me, because I hadn't built a website before when I first started my business and all of this stuff. But you know, you don't have traction and all that stuff. You got to kind of direct traffic. But for me, I just like to plant the seed. So I did it then, left it up for a year, pulled it down. But I didn't have my beats up there. I didn't have this knowledge and all these other things that I have access to now because I made myself more valuable. I didn't have those things up there. But I was getting to a space where I knew I needed, like, after that year and my website was down, it was like 3 or 4 years later, it's like, I know I need to get one up. I know I need to get one up. Because now I'm gaining more traction because of the consistency flow and the energy I put into what I love doing. And the inside of me knows that none of us do anything all by ourselves. I know it sounds good because it carries a lot of pride. Sometimes it carries strength. All the time, trying to say you do everything by yourself does not carry all the strength in the world. Sometimes it's just arrogance and your fucking pride that's in the way, and you need to push that shit to the side. If we all know that we're spiritual beings, you know, everything is interconnected, then we know that it don't matter how much we don't want to get help or receive help from over there, we're gonna need some help. So if it's not from this way, it's gonna be from here. If it's not from here, it's gonna be from here. Not from here, here. But it's different angles. We all intertwine with each other. But it made me realize that I had to gain more value because I was sitting on wanting to have my website done, but I was like just coming up with every excuse in my spiritual realm why I didn't feel like getting it done and why I felt like it would be more valuable and easier if I had somebody else do it, you know? And at the end of the day, it's like I went through Fiverr. They got pretty decent prices. You can find somebody to build a website. You know, I got a buddy of mine who builds websites. That's prices aren't that bad. And then there's other places you could look around to see the prices of these websites. But I realized, like, with me taking the time to sit down and relearn more into this digital realm, I realized that you are giving yourself more textbooks, quote unquote, to help teach and spread your experience and your knowledge. So like, for me, being in this YouTube world, which I was in this world prior before doing this knowledge and stuff, but it was other beings around, like my ex, her son, who, you know, I helped raise him for 3 years, but he still is a pretty good kid. I always told him, you know, he could always reach out, do whatever he wanted to. It's other beings around. But since I'm in this space, I'll have beings like my aunt, like my ex's son, like little cousins, nephews, nieces. You know, I'll have beings ask me, you know, how do they go about starting a YouTube channel? Because clearly friends and family members are sending them around like, all right, well, you know, holla at your uncle, holla at your cousin. You know what I'm saying? He knows about that world. You know what I'm saying? So for me, if I didn't gain that knowledge and that wisdom and decided to insert that value in me, they wouldn't be able to come to me for these things. So you think about it like when we're younger in school, high school, not middle school, we're gonna start at high school. Younger in middle school, people got the most traction that brought the most value. You know, whether you was the one, in my generation, we still was burning CDs and shit in school. We was rushing home to get on AOL, you know what I'm saying? So for me, in our generation, it was who got the CDs, the newest songs that's out, you know what I'm saying? Whoever's hustling, who has access to some finances or the snacks and shit, like who motherfucking got the Adderalls, cause you know motherfuckers like to stay up for doing work. I don't give a damn what nationality or your race, quote unquote, is. You know, at my school, all them honor rolls kids was like all popping Adderalls and all kind of shit to stay up and study. So, and that's just like on a different scale and frequency. But these beings, even in school, made themselves valuable so that way the other students would come to them. You know, whether it was like they needed to ask a question, whether they needed to get some help in a certain area, or whether they just had some kind of 3D material that, you know, was transactional that they could trade and swap. But the computer and the website shit, it all just went hand in hand to me, because it's like I sat on it and I kind of procrastinated and I lingered and lollygagged and every kind of excuse you could fucking think of. I'm a human, you know? So for me, it's like I didn't want to learn one more thing. I just went through a list for y'all. I do that with my own self. I go through all this shit I just learned in this little bit of time, how hard I'm working and going, and then it's like, oh shit, you don't even have one halfway decent being that can help you in this department, so you must learn it. You learn it. If I don't learn it, then I can sit in that space and I can keep battling myself and say, oh, I wish it was easier. I wish it was easier. Oh, I get somebody else to do it. Oh, fuck all that. You have to limit yourself. I had to limit myself how long I sat in that space. You know what I'm saying? That's not an all-day hangout space. And you're going to have a lot of people around you that's going to want you to lollygag and hang out all day in that space. You know what I'm saying? But that's your job to make sure that you are more disciplined, that you are not sitting around and hanging out in that space all day long. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to do the tit for tats, but you send the energy back. You know what I'm saying? And make sure you just add in value and understanding that it's really not going to get easier in the bigger areas. In the smaller areas, it will get easier because you can change and adjust a lot of stuff that's going on within you. You know what I'm saying? So the faster and the better you become at doing those things, that's when it will get easier in certain areas for you. But outside of that, you have to add as much value to yourself as you can, even when you feeling discouraged. Because I get discouraged too all the time. You know, not all the time, but it does happen. So like my most recent one, I would say would have to been, and that's still months ago, would have to been TikTok. I was never on TikTok. I started posting up there. My shit started going crazy over in the numbers, and then people just started reporting my shit for some reason. Like, and then TikTok did their little thing where they put me on the 24-hour suspension or ban, then the 48-hour, then the 1 week one. Then they just start removing my goddamn content and shit. So for me, that was pretty discouraging. You know I go against the system and what they would like to have and see going on. But for me, it's like if I had stronger beings in my space, or if I was maxed out strength at my own capacity, that wouldn't be an issue. I wouldn't be getting discouraged from that, or wouldn't be feeling like, all right, I need other beings around me with my kind of vibration or stronger, so that way when I'm in that discouraging space, I see them so disciplined and so motivated that shit just spills over on me. So now I don't have to quadruple how times hard I work to goddamn pull myself out of that space. And that's what we have to do when we're around these other entities that's not in the same space as us or higher. You know what I'm saying? But I ain't want to run it up too long. Tapping anything down below. Peace and love to the kings and queens.